Hey everybody! I'm Kirsten.
I'm Lucas.
And we are coming to you with the last of the videos that we're sending out this year about Family Testimony Night / Family Storytelling Night. So this coming Wednesday, small groups are done for both middle school ministry and for high school ministry. But you probably, hopefully, already have that space in your calendar reserved. And so what we wanted to invite you to do this year is to take this Wednesday night, so coming up tomorrow night, and instead of going to small groups, having kind of a special family night where you share your testimony. You tell stories of how you came to know the Lord, what God has done this past year in your life. So last year was the first year that we tried doing it. We did it in the fall. This year we thought it would make a lot of sense to just do it the week after small groups. So we've sent out a couple of videos before with a little bit more information about ideas on what that could look like and even tips on sharing your story. But just as a reminder, that's coming up tomorrow if you want to participate. Obviously, it's your family. You can meet up with them wherever you want.
Yeah, so I hope you don't feel strapped, you've got something going on this particular Wednesday, so feel the freedom to pick another night of the week that works, or even if it's next week, but just want to help you create some space in your family. Ideally, I think around a meal, just because it's natural time, you're not just staring at each other awkwardly across a table and not knowing what to say, but around a meal, so there's some interaction.
Everybody likes to eat.
Yeah, and so maybe bust out that awesome meal, mom, that you make, or dad, rack of ribs, or 3 racks of ribs, depends on how many of you have teenage boys. Anyway, it's a whole thing. So don't be upset or bummed if tomorrow night doesn't work out for you. So just pick a time, but we want to mention that I'm working with students and interacting with students sometimes it can be a little awkward. So we want to encourage you that when you get done sharing your story, however that looks like for you guys around a table, and whatever information or facts or particular aspects of your story you're going to share, it may be a good idea to think through how you're going to end it. So if you're at a table, maybe you pray it out and you're kind of done, or if you're driving somewhere with your teenage son or daughter, it may be a little bit more natural to steer the conversation to a different topic, but we want to let you know that try not to make the ending of it awkward. So we've kind of all been in those situations before, and so just think through that a little bit in terms of how you kind of want to land the plane, so to speak, when it comes to finishing up with what you're going to share. And so maybe it's you just guys, hey, you know what, we're done, thanks so much, let me pray, and then maybe you guys go get ice cream. I take my kids to Cabela's all the time, so it's free zoo, daycare kind of stuff, but you have to stay, so it's a whole thing. But so whatever it is, whatever it looks like for you, so just think through that. If you're at a restaurant, maybe you share your story towards the end, you take your last swig of a Coke, and you guys are off to the races, getting in your car and heading home, and kind of done for the night. So
yeah, so there are a few different options, and really the reason why we kind of picked this time of the year and this sort of a thing is all throughout summer, and as we head towards summer and get into summer in both middle and high school ministry, we're going to be talking a lot about your story and sharing your story and what that looks like. So we would love for that to really start in the home, and for parents for that to come from you guys first. So there are a few different ways that you can end. Like Lucas said, you can just pray and be done. You can ask if they have questions about your story, because really there may even just be things that they've always wondered about. Something about what it was like with grandma and grandpa as your parents, or they didn't ever know about that thing with your friend, or how you and your spouse met, or they may just have questions that it brings up. So you can ask for questions, you can ask them if they know what their story with Jesus is. That might be where your family is. That you could also transition to just a time of reflection over this past year in your family. How have you guys seen God move? That's how my story with Jesus began, but God is still at work. And one of the things that I've really seen him do in me this year is this. I feel like I've really grown in patience, or maybe become more aware of how much I need to grow in patience. But kind of reflecting on that past year and inviting your whole family to share. You know your family best, and you don't have to worry about what to say. You can trust that the Lord will lead you in that time, but it can be helpful to think through some options that might be a good fit for your family. And for those of you that are married, are both spouses sharing? Is just one person sharing tonight, another night? Kind of thinking through some of those things, and really that's kind of up to you. What is your goal for that evening, and then just committing that to the Lord and trusting that He'll lead.
Yeah, that's good. And I even think of one thing. What would it look like if when you share your story, or if when your spouse shares your story, if you're a single mom, or if it's grandma, grandpa, or maybe you're an aunt or uncle, whoever you are that is sharing this story, what would it look like in that moment you give an opportunity to even ask your family or your child or your elementary age, middle school, high school, or maybe it's college age that's still living with you, whoever it is, like what would it look like if you then, when you were done, even if you asked them, have you ever made a decision to follow Christ? Like maybe that's an assumption you've made. Maybe they've made that decision, but there hasn't been a lot of fruit of that. And so, what would it look like for moms and dads all over our Metroplex, all over Austin, Round Rock down to Kyle, Bastrop, out to Dripping, and even beyond that? What would it look like if you guys took the time, if we took the time to ask our kids and our teenagers, where are you at in your story? And I even wonder how many salvations or how many opportunities will you get in the coming weeks and days, because maybe you will even find out like doubts that your child or your teenager has based off this conversation. So then it feeds into multiple more conversations, and then you're emailing us because you want some information, and we're crazy excited because we can partner with you in that. So we are excited for you guys. Please let both of us know. I oversee the high school, Kirsten oversees the middle school, so whatever you need from us to support you guys, we're here. We love you like crazy. And we got your back. So,
yeah.
Awesome. Peace.